Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here today at Re-Written Vintage Homestead. Well, the days are getting longer and the sun is out. We don't have snow in the forecast. The weather's getting warmer. These are coming in the mail, and these get me really pumped up. So we have started in full force on our spring projects, trying to get those underway as the weather holds out in between rain, and planning our garden, doing some odds and ends. So I'm going to have you follow me around today as we plant some seeds and we go take a tour of the garden. I've been saving my containers for seed planting. My daughter ordered a tray of strawberries and got me all of these really nice plastic containers. These are great if you guys can get your hands on some like these in the produce aisle, because they work as like a hothouse, or is that called a I can't think of it, but you put your terrarium, you put your dirt in here, you plant your seeds, you've got holes here where the water can run through, and then the humidity will form in here because of the sun, and they're just great little containers to plant your seeds in. I've also saved my egg containers. I really like these paper ones the best because they can go right into the ground once my seeds start coming up, because these will decompose. I did save the plastic ones as well. However, I'll transfer those to something more sustainable and earth-friendly when they get bigger. I've got milk containers, and I take these and I cut the bottoms off of two. I leave one intact on the bottom. The other one, I cut holes in the bottom. Probably see here. Fit them right into each other. I'm going to put some pine cones in the bottom here to work as a drainage system. Put my dirt, plant my seeds, and then the water will run into here. I started my seeds outdoors under their grow light, but it started getting a little cold, so I brought them in on my kitchen table with the heat light. And I am amazed that just in 6 days, I already have zinnias, a whole tray of zinnias up and blooming. So I'm so excited. And of course, to celebrate the occasion, I got some new chicken boots. Aren't they adorable? I heated up some warm water here, and I'm just going to add a little bit. Whoops, there goes my seeds. Just going to add a little bit of warm water to every square, just to moisten the pellet. You don't want hot water, and we're trying to get these so we can smush them up. So these are the before water. These are the after water. You can see they go from being hot dog size to swelling up like a sausage. So I've got these all broken up, and as you can see, some of them filled in really nicely. Other ones I'm going to have to add potting soil to, or a seed mix. So make sure that you keep some of that on hand. Another trick is that you want them to go, okay, so this is the seed. You want it to go up and down like this. Don't put them in like this, because when they swell up, they'll get stuck and you won't be able to get them out. Okay? You want to soak them in water for about 5 minutes, and then you can start breaking them up. Now I'm going to top these off with a little seed mix. As I'm adding my soil to top these off, I want you to see I'm not packing it down tight. I want to leave the soil nice and loomy so that the root systems don't have to struggle. You know, it'll just be a natural process for them, and they'll germinate a lot faster. So don't push them down and try to pack your squares. Now that these are all topped off with soil, I brought them in, and I'm going to very lightly squirt some water over the top. I don't want it to turn into mud. I just want each of my squares to be doused a little bit, because once we put the roofs on, or the tops of each of these, the humidity that the sun creates inside there will keep them moist. Okay, there we go. I think that one's nice and moist, but it's not mud, so we'll be able to start putting seeds in this one right away. In this pod pad, I put 3 seeds of sweet peppers all around here. I ran out, so in these 4 pods, I have jalapenos. I've marked them with toothpicks just in case this would get jostled around and moved a different way. But also on my lid here, I have a chart that I've used that I put what I planted, where they are at, and then I have the date up in the corner. So I keep a book on all of my gardening and my plants, and that way I know when I planted, when they germinated, and what I can plan for the next year. So I'm all set up in my garage here. I've got beefsteak, 3 rows of beefsteak, 3 rows of Better Boy, 3 rows of Best Boy, 1 row of cherry tomatoes, and 2 rows of Cherokee Purple, which I was not going to plant this year, but I didn't want those seeds to go to waste. I have 6 rows of zinnias, 3 rows of milkweed, 1 row of yellow peppers, and 2 rows of yellow tomatoes. This is all jalapeno, early jalapenos. Back here I have the carnival peppers. They're all different colors. And 3 rows of Roma tomatoes. Over here, these are all 6 rows are sweet banana peppers that my son loves. And these are all California Wonder peppers. And I'm probably not done. So I'm probably going to need another light. But for now, this is a good start. I had a really hard time finding sweet potato slips last year and the year before. So this year, I'm going to grow my own. I have a whole bunch of small to medium sweet potatoes left that aren't big enough to do any type of cooking with. And over here, I have an aluminum pan, and I've poked holes in it and set it in its lid. And then I add just my regular seed mix or potting mix. And then I'm going to take the sweet potatoes and I'm just going to lay them in there next to each other. You want to give about a ½ inch in between each of them so that they're not crowded. And I'm going to put these in here. And I'm going to fill up my other tray here, and then I'll tell you the rest. So now that I have these nice and situated in here, I'm just going to take a little dirt to spread around them. I'm not going to bury them, but I'm tucking them into bed. I want them to be nice and cozy and dark. And I'm going to keep these in a dark area of my garage. And I'm going to water them about every other day because I don't want them to dry up. I want them to stay nice and moist. And then in a couple weeks, each of them should have some sweet potato slips. So I've watered them slightly, and they're in the nice dark corner here of my garage. We have the door shut almost all the time, so it stays about 50 degrees in here or above. And we're just going to leave them alone, water them every other day until they start to sprout. These are the 2 trees that I showed you last summer that had carpenter ants really bad. So these were on our list of spring projects and got those down today. Now we have to remove all of the debris out of our driveway. But this will be nice so we can widen the drive this summer. I have got a ton of pine cones I need to clean up. but I'm just gonna bag them up, and I'll be using those for the bottom of my planters. Instead of spending a lot of money buying a lot of soil, I'll put a layer or two of these pine cones to take up room, and then I'll add my soil. And I also use these to mulch too. So I'm not getting rid of them, but I have to get them up off the ground before we start mowing, which won't be long. And I want to keep some of the little petals off of these pine cones to use in my fire starters. Let's see if I can get one off one-handed. You stick those in your fire starters, and they look so pretty. So I'm going to save some for that too. Let's go over here and look how my hydrangea is doing. Aren't those still pretty? You know, I've been to craft sales where they sell the dried ones like this for fall arrangements. That's something to keep in mind for me next year. Everything looks good over here. And I have a new batch of lamb's ear coming up. I've got some flowers coming up here, and I can't find the tags, so I don't remember what they were. But over here, I have lupine coming back up, and it is beautiful when it gets tall. We've got a long way to go, but we're getting there. So I'm expanding my strawberry bed this year. We added more railroad ties. I'm going to have dirt delivered for right in here. I've already got my strawberries ordered. It got to the point where the strawberries I had quit producing, which is typical. They'll produce many years for you, but then they just go dormant. So I'm going to have to replant those, and I'm so excited that it's going to be bigger. And I'll be able to make pie filling and jellies out of that. This right here is the chicken run. It will be covered and have a roof over it. This is where the chicks are going to go in about a month and a half. And their coop will be off the ground, but they'll be able to get down here and run down there. And when we are outside with them, they will be free ranging. They have plenty of room to free range. They'll get a shade. There's trees very nearby right here. So their coop will be nice and shady on hot days. I can't wait to get my chickens. So we're going to do some changing to the beds this year. I am debating as to if this will be entirely flowers, because I'm going to have my my little store in the front of the yard over there. And I might want to sell cut flowers too. I get a lot out of this little end right here. And you can see I already have hollyhocks coming up. They are so resilient, and I am so excited to see the colors that they produce. And they're just very hardy. I have my rhubarb over here. Oh, got something coming up right there, but I'm not sure what it is yet. And it's always tricky to see if my butterfly bushes are going to come up. But I hope so, because we've really been trying to attract the butterflies and the bees here. Remember, I mulched all my flowers with leaves, and they're still here. See, you don't lose them all, and they just work themselves right back in the soil. I water them when I first mulch so that they stick, and I'm sure I've lost a few, but as you can see, there's still a whole bunch on here. I came out here the other day and I was really excited to see that the elderberries have gotten their new little sprigs on them, so they survived the winter. And this is my second year with these, so I bet we have some fruit this year. So that's Reggie, everybody. That's my daughter's dog, and he is Marshall's birth brother, litter brother, and he's actually the older brother, aren't you, Reggie? But he's smaller, and he is not the most dominant of the two. He's a sweet boy. I think this is so pretty right here on his legs. If I can get you a good shot. Right here. If you look at him just the right way, it looks like somebody had black fingers and they just grabbed hold of his leg. This over here is where we had our corn and pumpkins last year, but I think this will probably be part of the main garden that we will expand. My son's putting a garden out here as well for his corn. He just did not grow enough corn last year. He lives in town and has limited space. This is going to need a lot of work here before long. I hope the weather holds up, but we have an abundance of hickory nuts out here. So I'm going to have to do some raking on this bed before we start working on it. But see, I have plenty of room. I could go further out that way with my garden and then add on for him too. He's wanting to sell his corn as well. Boy, it's good. Good sweet corn. One thing I worked on over the winter was saving. As you can see, we were busy this winter. Saving all of these toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls. Anything that came on a paper roll, they were mine. So we're going to work on these today, and we're going to make our peat pots, because once our seeds start getting their true seeds, which is their second set of seeds up on the stem, we're going to have to take them out of their smaller containers and put them in their larger containers. And I want those to be something that are recycled, earth-friendly, sustainable, and good for the soil. So let's get started. So I tore up all of my toilet paper rolls into pieces 1 to 2 inches wide, and I let those soak in water overnight. And now I'm just squeezing the excess water out the best I can. Then I'm going to put them in my blender, and I'm going to blend them to a pulp. I'm going to beat them to a pulp. And then we'll start making our peat pots. See all that water coming out of there? I'm going to try to get most of it out to the best of my ability. There we go. So you want to just keep on working with it in your blender until you get a nice pulp. Something that you can squeeze into a ball. Like that. So I'm going to take what I just did, pour it back in my drainer here. And, you know, it took me 4 times to get it blended to this consistency. So keep working with it. And you'll see that now it's almost like mud. So I'm just going to keep squeezing the water out of it, which is going to go everywhere. That's okay. Let that water drain out. It's just like playing in a mud pie. but I want it to be wet enough that it's pliable. The reason I'm squeezing the water out is because I want it to dry pretty quick. I don't want to sit for 3 weeks waiting on my pots. So I think we got quite a bit of water out, so let's get rid of that. I've been saving all kinds of containers. These are the bottoms of water bottles that anytime I saw anybody throw one away, I was right behind them trying to pick them up. So I'm just going to put a little in each of these containers, and I'm going to work it all around the best that I can. Push it on the bottom first, and then try to work your way up. Now, what's going to be nice about these containers is I'll be able to put these right into the soil. I won't have to transplant again, so it won't stress my plants out any more than what they need to be. So you just keep working and working and going up the sides here. I don't need it to go all the way up to the top. You can see through here. I'm just going to take them right about here, just enough to give them a place to spread their roots, get a little bigger, and go into the ground. And the more I squeeze, the more water comes out, so that's good. We're almost halfway up this one now. And then after I get these where I want them, I'm just going to leave them alone. If it's a nice day, I'll put them outside on the picnic table to dry. If not, they'll be in my kitchen. And then in a couple days, we'll see if they've dried out. I can cut the plastic off, and I'll have my containers. I did find that if you have a small spatula like this, it helps to squeeze out some of the excess water, and it'll move further up your container here. So this is where I'm going to leave it. I don't want it too thin so that it falls apart when I take the plastic off. I think this is going to be a nice little size container. I ended up getting 12 peat pots made and one big square one before I ran out of pulp. So as each day goes by, I've set them outside here to dry. I'll come out here and squeeze the excess water and fill in any holes that I see with my fingers by pinching. Just pinching it together more until they start getting dry and they're not flexible anymore. And then we'll cut the plastic away.